This is the Washington Times front page for Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend their delicate ceasefire for 2 days, opening the possibility for more hostage releases. Guy Taylor reports Israel said it would adhere to the ceasefire by 1 day for every 10 hostages Hamas releases. Hamas confirmed it had agreed to the extension under the same terms after a top official in Qatar announced the extension of the humanitarian truce. Dozens of Israeli and foreign hostages are believed to remain in the hands of Hamas and other Palestinian militant groups inside the Gaza Strip. The Supreme Court is scheduled to hear a case that could nullify part of the 2017 tax reform law. Alex Warrior reports Charles and Kathleen Moore's case centers on unrealized profits from investments in a foreign company. They put up a $40,000 stake for a 13% share in the company. They said they never realized any profits because the money was always reinvested to help the company grow. In 2018, they were told they owed money to the federal government as part of the mandatory repatriation tax from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Their court filing says the bill runs afoul of the 16th Amendment because it's a tax on income they never received from their investment. Some black voters say President Biden has abandoned his pledge to have their backs and are threatening to withhold their support in 2024. Jeff Murdoch reports a poll by the New York Times and Siena College found that 71% of black voters in 6 battleground states would back Biden in a theoretical rematch, while 22% would support Donald Trump. Those numbers would be down from the actual black turnout in 2020, according to Pew Research, when Biden captured 92% of the black vote, compared with 8% for Trump. Those voters form the core of Biden's base in 2020, and a dip in just 1 or 2 battleground states could determine the election's outcome. A Republican presidential candidate hasn't won more than 12% of the black vote since Dwight Eisenhower in 1956. Wildly divergent opinions highlight Vivek Ramaswamy's position as the biggest wild card of the 2024 Republican presidential race. Seth MacLachlan reports he's shown an uncanny ability to get under the skin of his rivals, who cast him as a snake oil salesman. At the same time, the 38-year-old's unconventional approach, brash confidence, and praise of Trump have turned him into a far-right darling. Critics say Ramaswamy's Achilles heel is his declining favorability once people get to know him. A Des Moines Register poll released this month showed Ramaswamy's unfavorable numbers jump from 20% to 37% in August. He remains mired in the single digits in polls for the early primary states. And finally, Andrew Salmon looks at South Korea's bid to host the 2030 World Expo. The first World Expo was staged in London in 1851. Expos are held every 5 years to introduce potential solutions to global challenges. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.